Hey legends, I thought I'd try a different angle today. I'm liking it. I'm getting more light from my door as opposed to light. I don't have to turn this bad boy on. Oh, I think I like it. I've even got my hair out. Oh yeah. So I bought something from Amazon. I was looking for some new oil pastels. My cheaper oil pastels that I have are really quite hard. And I was looking for something a bit softer. Now I do have Sennelier oil pastels and they're beautiful, but they are just, they're so expensive. I don't want to use them in my sketchbook. If I'm going to use those ones, I'm going to use them in final artworks as opposed to sketchbook work. So I wanted not dirt cheap set of oil pastels because I want them softer. So I got these because I heard they were pretty good. Mungyo Gallery Artist Soft Pastels. And we're going to try them out together. I do want to try Neo Pastels as well by Karen Dash. But again, they're getting into the more expensive side of things. These were about, for a set of 48 colours, I think it was about 48 Australian dollars. So it's about $1 per pastel, which I think is really quite reasonable when I think I paid about double for the same amount of Sennelier. So I'm like, you know what, it's actually not a bad price for a set of 48, I don't think. And so what we're gonna do together, I'm gonna swatch these out with you so you can see them, because actually the color range is quite nice. I'm gonna swatch them out and then I'm gonna do a couple of drawings and then we're gonna have a chat about what I thought about them. Hopefully, summer's on its way here in Australia and it's hot. I'm gonna have to start putting the fan on or the aircon on soon. But yeah, let's go. I'm gonna put you down, we're gonna do some swatching and you get to see these bad boys in action. Here's the full 48 set. I really actually quite like the color range they've included. So I thought I'll speed this up and just quickly record me swatching the set for you guys. So a couple of things about the colours, like I've said, I've used these now for at least a week. A couple of things about the colours. I don't use these browns, so I find it really frustrating not being able to buy things open stock. This pale yellow has been the colour that I've used the most, this pale yellow. So it is actually, I've actually had to peel back the wrapper and used a lot more of it. It's got a nice balance of lights and darks, I think. It needs more pinks. This pink here, they call purple. And then, so technically, according to them, that's the only pink. I think I need more. Good range of purples though. Yeah, I really like the colour range. It's a good colour range. Sometimes, and this is my thing with all sets really, sometimes the names don't match the colour. Like that's lilac. That's way too dark for a lilac. Lilac's a lighter purple, in my opinion. And mauve, really I think lilac and mauve could have been swapped, but that's me being finicky. I don't really care about the colours. I just did a couple of drawings with it. I've actually never used these oil pastels with this tone tan paper. And they actually look brilliant on it. I also don't normally draw, I haven't drawn with these oil pastels this big either, but I really love it. Let's have a little look. So this was the first one I did. This is a bee eater picture I've got from, the reference photo was from Wikimedia Commons. So if you want to just type in bee eater, there'll be like heaps that come up. Like this. I'm not a massive green fan, and it's a very green bird. I was just looking for something a bit more colourful to draw, but then I went for the next one. I just went a bear, and I'm just going to use colourful colours that aren't there, because it's a brown. I think it's a grizzly bear. And this is kind of how I've been doing some dog portraits. It's very intuitive, like what colours go with what. I went very analogous with this. I added a touch of green just because I felt like, I sometimes think analogous can be a little bit boring. So I added just that touch of green, and I really love it. This, like I said, this magenta color that I've got, I've even had to peel some of the thing back to use it, because it's a nice color. It's a nice, not dark, but it's a nice on the way to dark. So I needed something a little darker, so I went this darker purple, which I think is this one here, which is lilac. No, that can't be it. Lilac's pretty dark. Violet. But it's actually, I'd say it's darker than a violet. It's a pretty dark colour. I even added a little bit of a dark blue in a couple of little places as well. You can see that they are super soft. So the colours do actually go pretty well over the top of each other. I'm very heavy-handed. So the colours to go over the top, that's pretty good. It means, because I already put down a lot of oil pastels, and then when I put a colour over the top, like the eyeballs, just that little shine dot, I'd already put a lot of that dark purple down, that violet, and then to get that little shine, because he looked very zombie-like, I had to go over the top, and it went over really quite easily. I had to go over a couple of times, but it actually went pretty well. This nose I worked into a few times. As a result, because I am very heavy-handed, there's lots of like chunks of the oil pastel. Not when I say chunks, not big chunks, little like almost little shavings of it. That doesn't bother me too much. It does make for a very messy sketchbook, but that's kind of the nature of using a really soft oil pastel, is that they smush, and then there's little bits that kind of aren't quite stuck to the paper that are still there. In the same way soft pastels do. They've got the pastels of the dust. This oil pastel dust is a bit different because it's sticky, so it stays there. You can't just blow it and it disappears because it's there. So yeah, if it bothers you, like I'm literally just dusting this really lightly with my fingers, and all of that's just coming off. It's just falling off. So it's pretty good. They are a little bit messy because they're softer, but I love that. That to me is not a negative. That having oil pastels on my fingers and soft pastels on my fingers doesn't bother me. I get dirty all the time. I really love these. These are going to be very much in my wheelhouse of using different things. I'm not a massive brown fan, so I've actually started using brown to just do study sketches in my sketchbooks. I think at the moment I'm using, next to the lounge, I've got a sketchbook and a Neo Color 2 there, and it's the brown, one of the brown Neo Color 2s, because I don't really use brown much. So I thought, well, I want to use them up because they're not cheap. So I've been using it just for like practice sketches in my sketchbooks. I do think these oil pastels are well worth the money. They're softer than most cheap oil pastels, which is amazing, because I do have a pack of Sennelier oil pastels here in this little stack here. I don't use them because they're so expensive. So I don't use them often. Plus, because they are soft, you do tend to use them more. Like I said, this pink I've used quite a bit, but not massively. And I've already probably used about 1 centimetre of it. So the softer they are, the quicker they get used up, which is hard to comprehend when you pay so much for a set and then they get used really quickly because they are so soft. You want the softness, but being expensive, you also want them to last. This is such a good middle ground. These Mungyo Gallery soft oil pastels are such a good middle ground. They're such a good compromise. There's a couple of other brands of oil pastels I do want to try. Like I want to try the Caran d'Ache ones. Neo Pastels, they're called Neo Pastels, that's it. I want to try them because from what I can gather, they're very similar to this. And they've got really good lightfastness. I'm actually not sure about the lightfastness on these. Yeah, so they don't actually mention anything about the lightfastness of these. So they're generally better for. So in my experience, when a company doesn't mention lightfastness, it usually means that maybe they're not the best. But in saying that, I don't know, I can't imagine they would be dodgy. It just means, because I think the actual official Lightfast test to get the rating is actually quite expensive. So that's why a lot of your cheaper supplies don't actually mention lightfastness. From what I read, it's fairly inconsistent. Your pinks and purples do tend to fade quite a bit. They do recommend, if you're doing this, if you're using these in good artworks to be hung on the wall, to put a UV glass over the top of it to protect it from the UV rays. To be honest with you, I do so much in my sketchbook, and I'm going to be looking at more into scanning artworks in and making products out of it as opposed to selling originals. So that doesn't bother me too much with these ones. This is where the Caran d'Ache oil pastels I think are really good, because Caran d'Ache are known for using really good the best light fast pigments they can. Pinks generally will fade. They're the hardest pigment to get a high light fast rating. It's unfortunately, I don't know why, pink is just prone to fading, even in like tattoos and stuff. Even in tattoos, reds and pinks will fade before most of the other colors. So it's hard. So would I get these if I'm doing oil pastels on a big artworks I'm gonna sell to galleries? Probably not. I don't think there's any issue using some in your artworks. I probably wouldn't do the entire thing with it, but I think these are really great. It's just a shame about the lightfastness. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions about these oil pastels, pop your questions down below in the comments. I will get back to you. If I don't know, I'll research, or I'll just say, whoop, sorry, no idea. And thank you for joining me.